right, listen up. This is the Music Scene Podcast. I am your host, Dave Kudrak. I hope everybody out there is having a happy and healthy holiday season. I've got a little bit of downtime here with gigging, and I'm off from work as well. Taking some time for myself to kind of get caught up on some of the other projects that I'm working on. One of which I've been asked to be a guest speaker at the Fire Open Mic Monday Night Meetup. Every first Monday of the month, an organization called Music is Our Hero has an open mic at a place called The Fire in Philadelphia. And I received an email requesting that I be a guest speaker at the one coming up in January. So January 6th, I'll be talking to musicians about music promotion and some of the benefits of being on a podcast and just talking about everything that I've got going on, and there'll be a Q&A section and all that stuff. So I'm excited about it. This is the first time I've ever had the opportunity to do something like this. Some more details to come on that, but as of right now, it looks like it's going to be Monday, January 6th at the Fire on Girard Avenue in Philly. And you can catch me there between, starting at 7, the guest speaker section goes from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock p.m. So anyway, today's guest on the music scene is the one and only Shay Arthur. I know there have been a few requests for this episode, and a lot of people are anticipating it, so it's finally here. I had a great time talking to Shay. He is a singer-songwriter in the South Jersey area. He's getting pretty popular pretty quickly. He's doing a great job. The songs that he writes are very catchy. They have quickly become fan favorites at all the local open mics. So if you get a chance, go check him out at either an open mic or one of his shows that he's playing at. You certainly won't regret it. So without further ado, here is my conversation with Shay Arthur. All right, Shay, thank you very much for coming. I appreciate you being here. He's primarily an original music artist.
Appreciate you having me here today, man. I've been watching every episode as it's been getting released, and it's really a great service that was kind of missing in this scene, I think.
Thanks.
I like to see people that are really going out of their way to not only showcase but do more for adding their own creative element to the scene.
Right.
And that's why I kind of focus on the original music thing. I think it's an extension of who you are, and it kind of lets people see inside a little bit more, and you create a personal connection, I think.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been really cool. Thanks for having me.
Cool. Yeah. Tell me how you got started in your musical journey. When did you start playing? When did you start really kind of falling in love with music?
Yeah, music's always been in my life. It's kind of been the one constant all throughout. I've always been on this journey of what am I going to get into? What's going to be the thing that I kind of commit myself to? Whether it's a passion or just something I think that would be good to add to the world. It's always been a constant in the background. Sometimes at the forefront, sometimes it moves back at different times throughout my life. But I would say it probably started like early on in my house. My family was huge into music. We had a thing called Music Fridays. So Music Fridays, the way it would work is sometimes in the morning before school and work, but usually it'd be when you get home at the end of the day, whatever everybody was doing, you walk in the house, music is blaring in the house.
Nice.
A whole wide variety of styles. Like my dad would showcase everything. I know you're a big AC/DC guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So everything from AC/DC to the Beastie Boys to,
nice.
REO Speedwagon, Journey, like the list goes on. And so I got to hear a lot of that early on. And my dad, he's also a singer himself.
Oh, cool.
We're trying to recruit him for the Valentine's Day show coming up.
Yep.
So hopefully we can get him up to sing a few tunes. He actually did Simple Man with Chuck.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was cool.
That's awesome.
The one
Where
night.
was that?
Death of the Fox.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, we wanted to get him up there, and I knew he wanted to play it. So I said to Chuck, it was his gig, and I know he was excited to see my parents out at some point soon. We have a little bit of a family connection. I can get there a little later,
Sure.
But I let Chuck know, I'm like, hey, by the way, my parents are able to get out of the thing they're doing. They're going to be here for the last half hour. I've been telling him about your version of Simple Man for what feels like months now. If you could play that for him, that'd be awesome. If you can't, no worries. So they get there, about a half hour left of his show. And there's maybe 10 minutes left, and I hear him get in the mic. He goes, so I got a request for this one song, and as much as I love the song, I feel like my voice is kind of going out on me a little bit, but I hear we have a singer in the audience. And he calls out my dad to get up on stage. The second it happened, my dad looks at me like, you got to be kidding me. He gets up there, though, and he did well. He did a good job. And then I'm sitting here thinking, oh, that was a great moment. I'm glad it went well. And he's sitting down. I'm ready to enjoy Chuck's final song. We bring up the father, of course. We have to bring up the son. I'm like, oh, no, I got to get up here. It was cool. It was a good time. Yeah.
Has your dad ever played out before? Like, was he in bands and stuff before?
So no, my dad doesn't play any instruments. As much as he sings, he never really took the leap to do that. And he constantly tells me, how happy he is to see me kind of taking the leap to do this now, because my grandfather sang. And my dad sang hearing him sing.
Okay.
And so I'm like the first person in the family to really, commit to picking up an instrument in general, but then also to taking it to this extent of trying to write songs, record them, put them out there, and actually go out and perform. So it's been really cool for the family.
Yeah, very cool. And so he never, so was that Fox show like the first time he ever sang in front of like people, like total strangers? So
not quite.
Okay.
So his first real iteration of like his musical journey was so when he was in grade school, he was the only person not allowed in the choir. They said that he tried. His parents, my grandma and grandpa showed up, and no matter what they said, he wasn't able to join. They said he just wasn't ready for it.
Okay.
And so he kind of took that to heart. Wasn't really singing much. High school comes around. He's in his senior year, and him and his buddies are like, "Hey, we should go out for the play, just cause senior year, why not?" And it was Grease.
Okay.
And my dad ended up getting Danny Zuko.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, he ended up being Danny Zuko.
That's awesome.
And so he's always sang from that point forward. Are you familiar with the Giuliano brothers?
No.
So they're like a big cover band like in the area. They do a lot of the shore gigs over the summer. So I'm from West Thetford, and West Thetford had a big like reunion thing where if you're over the age of 21, you graduated from the school, you're welcome to join the event. And they would always be the band.
Yep.
So whenever my dad would show up and they'd take notice that he's there, they'd bring him up to sing Don't Stop Believin'.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
So he's had moments, but it's never been like more than like a handful of songs, maybe karaoke with friends.
Right,
but,
sure. Very cool. Very cool. So you had this Music Friday thing going on, right? So music playing, anything else where people like playing instruments, or was it just kind of your a musical education type thing?
Never really had too many like exposure to instruments early on. It was never it was always something that I kind of I had the love for music. My family had that love for music, but it never really got to a point of like oh, I saw this person playing, so that makes me want to play. It was more so like the artist that we were listening to. So there's actually one kind of a cool story. It was probably 2003, I want to say. Bruce Springsteen was doing a tour in Europe. And so I think it was WMR, probably 1029 actually.
Yep.
They did a contest. And so they had people calling in, and they'd pick one winner. The winner would get trip out to Ireland to go see Bruce Springsteen. They'd get an album of his new album, which was The Rising.
Oh, okay.
And I remember the day very vividly. We're in my kitchen, and it was before the days of cell phones, so we had, 2 landlines. My dad had like a thick like work phone that we used, and it was me, my sisters, and my mom. My dad was at work, and we're sitting there calling with all the phones we have.
Yeah.
My sister, who at the time, maybe she was in high school, maybe a little younger than that, she had the phone that they answered. So she had to hand it to my mom quickly. She wasn't old enough to accept it,
Yep.
So my parents won the trip. They ended up going out there. Yeah. So,
they were just like caller number whatever, and they won the trip. They won the trip to Ireland. That's amazing.
Yeah. So through that, Bruce he's probably my mom's favorite artist. And, my dad obviously loves him too, but I heard so much of him growing up, and because of them winning this competition, they got the Rising album. So that got played start to finish.
That's a heavy
hundreds
album,
of times. Yeah.
I mean, that was, for those that don't know, that was the album that he put out after September 11th. And I think I may have listened to that album one time and just and can't listen to it anymore.
Yeah,
it's so heavy.
Tough. Everybody always asks me what my genre is for my music, and I never quite have a good answer. And I was talking with Peter Scavello about this, and he goes, what I would suggest is talk to the people that have listened to you the most, that enjoy your stuff, and ask them what your music makes them think of, right? So I kept getting the same responses. I was shocked. Everybody said 2 things. They said it almost gives you like a feel of summer, and then they also said it gives you a feel of like happy but sad, almost like melancholy.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And he made the joke, which actually I think it's a great idea. It might find its way into one of my projects. He goes, dude, Summer Collie, whether that's a song or an album
Summer
title.
Collie.
And I thought it was
I love
awesome.
it. That's
yeah.
great.
So, and I realized after asking them that question, I started to think to myself, okay, what did I listen to the most growing up? And I'd probably say the Rising album is probably number one.
Really?
And I'm listening to that album, and it very much has that feel of like, it's almost like sad in tone,
Yeah.
but it's like an uplifting message, and the choruses find their way back to bring you up throughout the course of it.
I'll probably have to check that album out again because I just remember listening to it shortly after September, and I was like, oh man, this, like, it brought me back to that day and everything that was going on, and I was like, I'm not sure I can listen to this again, you know?
Yeah, actually, I got the privilege of getting to see Bruce for the first time this year.
Oh, did you?
And,
Nice.
I bought tickets for his show last year, and it was my Christmas present to my parents. It was going to be the three of us.
Okay.
You know, they introduced me to him. We had that connection, you know,
Yeah, sure.
like early on, and he got sick.
Yeah,
so it got
he canceled a bunch or
Yep.
postponed, yeah.
Yeah, so it got postponed to this year. And the plan was to initially just go on Wednesday. And we went, it was everything I could have hoped for and more. It was
Nice.
incredible. Met Andre Gardner, was chatting with him a bit. And Jay Runyon actually offered me a ticket for the Friday show.
Oh, okay.
So I got to go to both. And
Nice.
I'm so glad I did because there was one song in particular I was looking forward to hearing him play. It was Waiting on a Sunny Day
Okay.
off of The Rising.
Yep.
And he played it on Friday night. And
Oh,
it was one
that's
of the last
awesome.
songs he played, and I'm like, when it first happened, it was like a moment of euphoria.
Sure.
My hair was standing up in my arms. I couldn't believe that I was witnessing this in Philadelphia. Like, it was just
That's awesome. That's fantastic. So, are you the first member of your like immediate family to like play a musical instrument then?
As far as I know, I'm sure there might have been like, moments where somebody might have picked up certain things, but for the most part, nobody ever really got into musical instruments. It was early on. I saw movies like, School of Rock, Tenacious D, and, a handful of other August Rush. And it was always in the back of my mind, something I knew I wanted to do,
Yep.
but didn't really know where to begin.
Yeah. August Rush is a great movie, by the way.
Yeah, very underrated. Incredibly underrated,
Yep.
The style of guitar that he plays, it just,
That percussive style. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
cool. When did you pick up the guitar then?
So I know my parents bought me a cheap, I think it was an Area electric guitar. It was like the cherry red, rosewood fretboard, and I didn't really know what I was doing. I kind of picked it up a little bit. I'd learned like very poorly, might I add, like Back in Black.
Okay.
I'd learned like Smoke on the Water.
Yeah.
Never really knew what I was doing.
Sure.
And I kind of put it down not too long after getting it because I didn't know the approach. I didn't know the steps to take. I was listening to your episode with Chuck, and he mentioned how he got a classical guitar, and he's playing power chords because that was the music of the generation when he was picking it up. And early on, I didn't know about, setups. I didn't know about string size. I didn't know acoustic versus electric. Eventually, my brother-in-law actually gave me, he had an Ion acoustic guitar in his closet. It was sitting there forever, and he gave it to me as a Christmas present one year.
Nice.
So that was kind of my iteration of like, okay, now I have this thing, and I'm getting into it more. I learned a handful of chords, and it's kind of like also what Chuck said, where he's like, I learned D, C, G, and E minor. The first 4 chords I think I learned them because I was picking up "Hey Jude" by the Beatles.
Oh, okay, yep.
And I'm like, let me write a song with this.
Nice.
So I wrote a song when I was like 12 years old,
Awesome.
and I started to play it out a little bit, and people were, it was a good response. Granted, 12-year-olds taking the leap, they're going to be encouraging, either way.
Sure.
But I started to bring the guitar everywhere I went.
Okay.
My cousin was on a soccer team, and we used to go to this Cape May soccer tournament. I'm not sure if you're familiar.
No.
It's like an every year thing, and I think once you get past like the age of 12, you're not like able to participate. It's like all the youth, age. And she's like 3 years younger than me, so we would go down there to join them because now that I'm not playing in the the showcase, I'm now going down just to enjoy the weekend.
Okay.
So I of course bring my guitar, and the way that this hotel was set up, there was like an upper deck area with the pool over the parking lot, and that's where everybody would hang out after the games.
Okay.
So the one night, somebody encouraged me to get my guitar. I'm like, okay. So at this point, I'd already played at a handful of the team parties. Like all of the girls on our team already knew the words to my song.
Oh, that's cool. Yep.
And so I played the song. But not only was it their team, it was also like 2 other teams, random people staying there. And when I finished playing, everybody's approaching me. You got to send it to radio stations. You got to do all
great.
this. So I think that was probably the first moment where I was like, maybe this could be something.
Right. And how old were you? Were you 12 or 13 or 14?
About 13,
Okay.
probably, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so it was
Very
pretty
cool.
early on, but it took a while to get to the point of actually, like, let me do this.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah.
So where did it go from there then?
So after that, once I hit high school, I kind of, pocketed the guitar a bit. My focus kind of shifted to like work, sports and girls, guitar.
As you do.
Took the back seat.
Yep.
So after I was getting out of high school, I was in a relationship about 2 or 3 years, and it ended. And I'm like, I need something to fill my time. Maybe I'll give this music thing another shot. So I started playing again, and I had one guitar to my name. My parents got me a guitar for Christmas in high school. I think it was an Epiphone acoustic electric.
Okay.
And I'm sitting here like, okay, I want to do something with this. I've written a couple songs at this point. It's very much like a hobby at this point. But I'm like, let me pursue this. So I didn't know where to go. I didn't know open mics existed.
Yeah.
I didn't know anybody that played. So I, of all places, went on Craigslist. It was the one thing that I knew of from like my childhood of how people connect to other people.
Right. Yep.
Facebook was around, social media was around, but it didn't register that it was an option. So I put a post on Craigslist and I said, hey, looking for a band. These are my influences. This is my experience. Looking for somebody interested in the same thing. So this group out of Philly sent me a message back. And they go, hey, we're a 3-piece, band. We're just getting started. We'd love to have you over for a band rehearsal night, see, how things go. So I go. And at this point, I've been in Philly, but I never really had much experience, let alone driving over there myself.
Right. I'm
like, I'm just going to do this. Let me just, what's the worst that could happen?
So you're driving. So what are you, like 17, 18?
At this point, I'm about 19.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So I get over there, and it was a 3-person band, and funny enough, I actually ended up staying in contact with the one guy, Dominic. Shout out Dominic if he's listening. He also has a podcast, does a few creative things.
That's cool.
Yep.
Nice.
And so we were, it was very low key of a thing. Not that they weren't experienced, but I was very much not ready for that moment. So going through that process, I'm like, I don't have an electric guitar. I don't have amps. I don't have mics. I don't have any of this. Luckily, they had mics. They had a few things. So the band kind of changed. It was like about 2 or 3 months of playing like on a weekly basis, and eventually we're like, okay, we want to get a show. Let's get a set list together. Let's get a show.
And what kind of were you doing? Covers or originals or both?
A little bit of both. I would say it was probably like 80% covers for the most part. And my buddy was like, I have a friend's band. They were called the 1940s at the time. Now they go by the Mac Brothers.
Okay.
And he's like, I think they can get us, to open for them. I'm like, let's do it.
Yeah.
So about a week or two before, 2 of the members were like, oh, we had this other thing. We can't do this. So we're like, we need to get musicians to do this. So I met the drummer and the bass player the day of our show. We had a show at the Tin Angel.
Oh, yeah. I remember that place. Yep.
So me being so underprepared, I was so nervous. I didn't sleep the entire night before. So going into the show, I didn't know what to make of it. This is all brand new to me. So we get up and we play, and I actually told this joke yesterday. It's not much of a joke as more of like, an experience I'm trying to, forget about.
Sure.
I'm up on stage, and the sound guy at the venue says, if anything you need throughout the course of the show, let me know. And we get through about 4 or 5 songs, and I go, I'm not hearing much of my vocals. So I literally say into the mic, hey, do you mind hitting my vocals up a little bit? And he gives me a thumbs up.
Okay. We
go through the rest of the set, and I realize I'm not singing on any of these songs after this point. So I asked them to turn it up, didn't sing again the rest of the night.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So that's how my first show went.
Nice.
Yeah. It was a good experience though. I still have the video of it, so it was cool. But that's where it went. That faded out quickly after that. We didn't really do much past that. I did stay in contact with Dominic, and he's actually the reason I have my job that I have now.
Oh, cool.
We work together. I'll get to that in a sec because I have a few other things in between there.
Sure.
After that happens, I'm like, okay, music, I'm putting more effort into it, but it's not the main thing. I want to get, a good job. I want to really start working on other areas. It'll be on the side, and maybe I'll work back into it. So I worked at the Defford skating rink through high school. Okay. And I was the DJ. I was, managing. And it was very, I think, integral to me getting used to speaking into a microphone.
Oh,
and
okay.
So
yeah.
A lot of people tell me all the time, your banter in between songs, your stage presence when you're communicating with the audience, is really good. And I never really thought of it that way. And I'm like, oh, it kind of makes sense because of the experiences I've had.
Yeah, sure. And there's a lot of musicians out there who may be gigging, but don't like to talk between songs, don't like to interact with the crowd.
Yeah, it's a whole different skill set,
Yep.
So I stopped working there for a little while and I went back. And they bring me in and there's this guy there. And he sees that I have a tattoo of a guitar neck on my forearm. And he's like, oh, I play guitar too. Cool. Nice. We start chatting a little bit. And one night I'm off work and I get a text message and it says, hey, is your mom Kara? And that's my aunt.
Okay.
And I'm like, no, that's my aunt. Why? I think we're related. Come to find out, this was my dad's cousin's son.
Oh,
and
wow.
We're the same age. We both have similar interests. We didn't.
That's cool.
We knew have heard of each other, but we never met.
Right.
And so we find this out. So we start hanging on the regular.
Sure.
His name's Eric, by the way.
Okay.
Great guitar player, and I'm still trying to encourage him to join me out on this venture.
Yeah, bring
get
him
on
out.
stage.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But he's doing a lot of his own thing. He's got like a psychology podcast that he runs.
Oh, that's cool.
He just started his. He started teaching high school students through Rutgers.
Oh, okay.
And so he's doing a lot of great things. I'm excited for him. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But we got together, we would jam, and it did encourage me to get better. I wrote a lot more through hanging with him. But whenever we get to the topic of let's go out and perform out somewhere, we would talk about it, but never really like saw it through.
Right, sure.
So it was great experience. We got to play in front of a lot of different people over like, the couple years we were hanging, and we go to parties, we'd bring the guitars. Family events, bring the guitars. Hanging on the weekend, bring the guitars. So it was great for that, but it never quite led to where I was expecting it to lead. While we were getting together, I was also live streaming online. And so I did gaming. I'm a huge gamer. I have been since I was a kid.
Yep.
And it's something that always felt like it came naturally to me. I enjoy it. I do well at the games that I put the time into. I'm like, if I'm going to be playing already, let me just live stream. You have the option to go through the console to stream.
Yeah, so you might have to kind of walk me through that whole thing, because I've never really been a gamer.
Okay.
The only gaming console I ever owned, and I still have it locked up in like my attic somewhere, is the Atari 2600, the very first one.
Wow, there you go. Yeah. I mean, at least you're not starting from ground zero. You got some experience in there.
Yeah. So explain this live streaming thing. Like you're online, you're playing, I assume Xbox or PlayStation or something like that, and then you can somehow connect your laptop to it and live stream what your screen looks like.
So this is where it was kind of different. Why I committed to trying it. You used to need like a capture card, a device you would connect your computer through to your console to run the feed through. You'd have to connect a microphone, the whole thing. A website came out called Mixer.com. I believe it was Microsoft's answer to Twitch.
Oh, okay.
And so they were trying to make it a big platform. Once that came out, I'm like, okay, now you can actually go through the actual Xbox itself, go live. You don't need the other equipment. So I don't have a camera at this point. It's just my headset, and I'll go live, see what happens.
Right, but what's shown on screen? Your screen, like
just
the game?
The game.
Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep. So they're hearing me, they're hearing the game, they're seeing the game.
Got it.
And so I started to get random people coming in, and I naturally would just play my guitar in between games. Like, never thought much of it.
Yep.
As I did that with the live stream, people started to, is that you playing? Yes, that's me.
Acoustic or electric?
Acoustic.
Okay.
Yeah, I've always wanted to get back in electric. It's still the back of my mind, but acoustic's always been my main thing.
Okay.
So I'm playing that, and it took off way more than I thought it ever would.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. I eventually ended up, through donations, through people subbing to my stream, I got enough money to get a whole computer set up. I was able to get a nice microphone, a camera, and get the whole thing.
That's awesome.
So eventually I got partnered, and I really was enjoying it. It was like really my main job for like a year and a half. Eventually, Mixer got sold to Facebook, and they gave everybody a 30-day notice.
Oh.
So one, you have to rebuild from scratch to a degree. Like, you can start working to bring people over, the regular viewers. Me, I'm like, oh, this is a good opportunity to take a month off, see if it's what I want to do.
Right.
When I came back to do it, it was already a little bit too late.
Yeah, your audience was gone, I would
Exactly.
imagine. Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, so it was good for experience talking on the mic. It encouraged me to write a lot of songs, which is really cool. So it definitely benefited me, but it's definitely something I wish I would have pursued further, because I think it could have gone on to do some good things.
Sure.
I'd always had it in the back of my mind that I wanted to do music. It wasn't until I reconnected with Dom that I started working with him. We have a lot of downtime during the day.
Okay.
So naturally we're talking sports, music. And he was one of the first people to ever really introduce me to the concept of albums. So like, I knew a lot of artists. I knew a lot of the songs that I liked, but I never really considered what it meant to put together a full project, listen to it start to finish. Like, I knew the Rising album, but outside of that, I was, brand new.
You and I are pretty far apart age-wise. when I grew up, I was all about I would buy a cassette or an album or a CD, and I would just listen to it, from beginning to end. Like that's how I consumed music as a kid. When you're listening to music, you're listening on Apple Music or Spotify, and you're just listening to whatever your favorite songs are and creating playlists and things like that. Am I right?
Yeah, it was definitely that to a degree. I remember buying American Idiot.
Okay.
That was my first ever CD.
Yep.
But I never really bought CDs for the most part. iTunes came out when I was like just starting to get into middle school.
Okay.
So that was like the thing. Everybody had iTunes. Everybody had an iPod.
Yep.
So I had, songs like Stronger by Kanye. I'd have Hey Jude, the Beatles, a list of random songs, Bittersweet Symphony, The Verve.
Okay, yeah.
And so I started to, get exposure to different songs, but the albums I didn't even consider it.
Yeah, yep.
But through talking with him, that introduced me to Pet Sounds, Beach Boys, Rubber Soul, The Beatles, Foo Fighters' debut album.
Yep.
And then I'm like, oh, this is a whole thing, and I started to explore. That was kind of the next iteration of it.
Yep. Yep. So when you say explore, were you going out and like buying, or were you downloading albums, like whole albums then at that point?
Yeah. So I was basically searching, okay, today I want to listen to the Beatles, and I'll start the very first album they ever dropped, listen to it start to finish, and get through as much as I could. And I'd revisit it. And through that, I'd hear full catalogs of different artists. And that's where the music education really started to kick in.
Sure. Yeah, I think the biggest thing I took away from listening to albums from beginning to end is I started to really be attracted to the songs that were not on the radio, right? Or the songs that were not the hit singles. Like I always loved like deeper cuts of like any band really, but especially like my favorite bands like AC/DC and whoever else. I always wanted to hear those songs that like not a whole lot of people knew.
Almost like the rare find.
Yeah, exactly.
Then when you come across it, you share it with somebody. Oh, I've never heard this song before.
Yep.
I get made fun of a bit from some people in my inner circle because when I was getting into playing music, they're like, play stuff that we know. Because all the songs I'd learned were deep cuts. You would think, like, I'm a huge Foo Fighters fan, and I know roughly how to play a handful of the hits, but I'm breaking out songs like Happily Ever After, 0 Hour.
Yeah.
Any idea what that song
No,
is?
huh?
Yeah. It was off their Concrete and Gold album.
Okay, I know the
2017.
album, but I don't think I've listened to it much.
Yeah, all the songs that nobody listens to, that's what I love.
All right, cool. So you've been in that band, and then you were live streaming, and were you writing songs with the intent of, while I'm in between games, I'm going to like play this new song to my audience and see what the reaction is?
That tended to be how I went about it.
Okay.
Whenever I'd get a new bit of material, like I would even show them like 30 seconds of an idea, not a full song.
Okay.
Just to put it out there, see what the reaction is.
Okay.
Do they enjoy it? Is this something I need to change? Is this one that can stay in the mix?
Right. And you mentioned that you upgraded and got a camera and all that stuff. So were you live streaming on camera and be like, kind of like a, today's YouTuber or whatever, you would be like, hey guys, here's what I'm working on. And would that be the thing that you would kind of do?
It is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd be on camera, so I'd showcase the guitars I have.
Okay, cool.
And I used to, they used to joke around. They're like, because the first time I got the camera, the way I set it up, I set it in a way where when I was playing the game, it was a good frame of my face.
Oh, okay.
When I'd get the guitar out, the guitar would be cut off at the bottom, so they're not seeing it. They see the top of the guitar, but they're not seeing what I'm playing.
And then they see like your shoulders moving and stuff.
Yeah, they see me moving like this, and they'd be like, dude, like move the camera. We can't see what you're doing.
Right.
So I eventually got that worked out, and it was really cool. I still have a handful of people that were following me back then that still keep up to date with what I'm doing now, which is wild to me.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
5, 6, 7 years ago now.
Sure. So the Mixer audience went away when Mixer was sold to Facebook. What platforms are you on now?
So I have been meaning to get into the YouTube side of things.
Okay.
I very much want to make that the primary platform at some point, but there's just been so many other things that I've kind of made the focus between, getting into the swing of booking gigs consistently, working on new songs, recording the new songs. But my goal at some point in the near future is to really start committing to uploading on a consistent basis on YouTube.
Yep.
I think there's a lot of success to be had through YouTube.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, Michael Songs has a really good community that he has like behind him. He does his live streams, I think 3 times a week, and it's all original music for those that don't know. You mentioned writing your own songs. Do you have songs released out on Spotify and Apple yet?
So I have 0 released. Right now I'm actually working with, he actually got mentioned on, I believe, is it TJ Fry?
Yep.
Yeah, on his episode, he mentions Jimmy Heffernan.
Yeah.
So I'm working with him right now.
Oh, cool.
And so ideally, March is going to be the first song released.
And Jimmy is just helping you record. What's his involvement?
It's ultimately us trying to record through the songs. The idea is to eventually lead it into a full album.
Okay.
So I know that's a big task.
Yeah, sure,
But but that's something I've always wanted to do. I want to get to that point of full projects, putting out a number of songs, and just putting it out in the world, leaving something behind.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, got 2 little girls. There will come a time where I'm no longer around, and it will be nice for them to be able to just like put on one of Dad's songs and remember the good times.
I agree. And I mean, like your song "Firm Grip," reference to your father,
to my dad. Yeah.
And so, like hearing those stories, and I was listening to a handful of your songs like over this past week.
Thank you. You're the one. You're the one listening to them.
Yeah. You see those numbers going up. That's me at my house loading them up. But there's a good handful, and the stories that you're telling, like it's songwriting itself is a very personal endeavor.
Yep.
And you never quite know what's going to come out or what somebody is willing to put out into the space, right? And to hear the subject matter of your stories, I think takes a lot to discuss those things and put it to writing, record it, and release it. And I feel like every single song I've heard of yours, I've just like the stories grab a hold of me.
Oh, thank you for the compliment. I appreciate that. What's your writing process look like?
So my writing process has kind of always been very, very different throughout the course of my life.
Yep.
And you
mean you're not writing songs the same way you did when you were 12?
No, absolutely not. And people still ask me to play that song occasionally, and I'm like, I have to give the prompt. This was written when I was 12, just so when you hear me talking about seeing the girl in the hallway, I'm a very different person now. I've grown up. Yeah,
that's great.
But I tend to kind of go in the moment. Sometimes I have words that come to me while I'm driving down the street, and I'm like, oh, that's a cool idea for a song. And I'll write it down, or I'm, messing around with my guitar, just strumming it, no intention behind it. And I go, oh, that sounds pretty cool. And I'll put it to paper. Every single song, I kind of let the song dictate where it's going.
Okay.
So sometimes the inspiration starts here. How do I add to this and evolve the song to get it to the finished product?
Nice.
So every time it's something a little different. Yeah.
Okay, cool. How many songs do you think you have?
So I have, as any of us do, thousands of ideas in my notes, in my voice memos, on my computer, in terms of songs that I actively play out, I'd say it's between 15 to 20.
Oh, wow. Nice. But that's a good size.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I like those songs, but it's like I get into this issue where I'll write a song in the moment. This is such a great song. This is so good. Everybody's going to love this. And then I start listening to it over and over and play it over and over. And I'm like, I'm so sick of this song. I need a new song to replace this.
Right.
I have probably a good, if I had to guess, of songs that I could bring back into the mix, go through my documents of completed songs, I'd say I'm probably in the range of like 60 to 70.
Wow.
But
that's great.
All the ones that are past that 15 to 20, I just don't think they're quite as polished as I would like to present out, And I'll tell you, like for me too, when I play my cover gigs, right? Like these venues, they see that there's a little bit of a following. They know that I'm gigging in the area, and they bring me in. There's never really a discussion. Are you an original artist, a cover artist? They see, oh, this is a musician. They're booking gigs out and about.
Yep.
So I go into it like, okay, I'm going to play my originals. If somebody says something, then maybe I'll alter the chorus, or maybe that venue's not for me. I look at it like, this is what I want to do. This is like the main selling point of like what I'm providing to the community.
Right.
So I go through these gigs and I mix in. At the moment, it's probably, if I'm doing a 3-hour gig, it's probably like 70-30 in favor of covers.
Okay.
So I still play a lot of covers, but I make it a point to end my sets with originals or start them with originals, let the audience know that they're originals.
Okay.
And so far, a lot of the venues have been in favor of it.
Nice.
A lot of them have said, hey, we heard you say this was an original. We were even dancing along with it. We thought it was good.
That's awesome.
And so like, until somebody, I'm expecting it at some point, until somebody says, hey, no originals here, I'm going to keep pushing to do that.
Right,
you
right.
know?
And I think that's great. I've said it before, the South Jersey scene is very cover band heavy, right? No disrespect, I love cover bands. I'm a cover musician myself, but it's good to see original music take steps forward, I guess, right?
Every time that somebody is willing to go out of their way to showcase an original, I'm a big fan of that.
That's
because
awesome.
It's like I said earlier, it really does take bravery to, one, like not just write it, but also share it with the world, because
Right. Yep.
you never know what the response is going to be. It could be a subject matter that's super like close to your like heart and big on, why you are the person you are.
Yeah.
To then share that with everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a song that I wrote about an incident years ago, and I had a gig recently, and there were a few people that showed up, from the past that, came out to see me, and I was thrilled to see them. But because of their connection to some of the people the song's about, I played the song and I see them in the audience. The rest of the night, I'm thinking about that moment over and over. I messed up like 3 songs. I played through it fine.
Sure,
Like, people
sure.
probably didn't pick up on
Yeah.
it, but oh man, it was getting to me. And
Yeah.
that's kind of the risk you run into. a
Sure.
little bit. My buddy had a bachelor party. He was getting married, and the bachelor party idea was we're going to start at Topgolf, and then we're bar hopping breweries. That's the day, right?
Yep.
So we go through 3 spots, and we end up at Double Nickel, right? And there's a band playing there. It was the No Relation Band. Shout out to Sam, Danny, and Allison, if any of them are listening. And they were playing, and we decided to take the table right next to them. Because, we're at this point, we're 6-7 beers in a piece minimum. We're all pretty tuned up. It's a
Sure.
good day.
Yep.
And they start playing. They start playing Stairway to Heaven. And so my buddy Joey starts yelling out, he knows how to play this.
Oh,
and I'm
okay.
sitting here like, dude, what are you doing? Let's not say that, Like, they get to the end of their set, and he goes, we're taking a 15-minute break, but when we come back, we might have a special guest. The second he said that, my heart sank. They have a self-serve water station. I'm chugging
Right.
water, going to the bathroom, listening to the songs I might
Trying
sing.
to sober up a little.
Yeah, exactly. Preparing as best I can if they bring me up.
Right.
So he brings me up. I started with Santeria by Sublime.
Okay.
And of course, I'm by myself, so when I get to the solo, the energy just dies out.
Sure.
But it went well.
Yep.
Good enough to the point where he goes, what else you got? Like, let's hear some more.
That's awesome.
So I played an original of mine, Ruby Red. I played that, and everybody seemed to love it. And I ended with In My Life. They ended up letting me play 3 songs.
Okay.
So from that moment, that kickstarted this entire journey to get into music. The band themselves gave me their info. They thought it was awesome. They want me to keep pursuing it. They said, come out more often. We'll get you on stage. Any questions you have, let us know. On top of that, I also got through somebody that was involved with the bachelor party. Didn't know I played music. And he heard the original, and he goes, do you have more like that? I go, yeah. I might have a connection for you. So are you familiar with ACX1 Studios in Atlantic City?
No.
Okay, so it's ran by a guy, his name's Rob Schwartz, and the idea behind ACX1 is to kind of be, they refer to it as Hollywood East.
Okay.
So they want to do movies, TV shows, music, and a number of different things. I think he's on the Philadelphia Grammy Committee.
Oh, wow.
Like he's
Okay.
knows a lot of main artists. And through this connection, I got an invite to a thing called DistroFest.
Okay.
So it's like an all day or really an all weekend music like conference. So I'm seeing like Taylor Swift's first producer up on stage talking about the process, people that have done the thing. And it was an incredible experience for me to be there just to hear these stories. Of course, when I finally come face to face with him, I'm so nervous
Right.
that I'm stumbling through my words. It was not a great interaction, but at least I met him. At least I showed up and did the thing. It was on my own. Didn't have anybody with me. But at this stage, I was just like, I need to start doing everything I can to every opportunity that comes my way. I'm like done sitting in the background and waiting for the moment. So I went to that. I started to go out and see No Relation. Anytime I'd see them share a post, hey, we're here at Trino Pizza Bar in Haddonfield. I'm showing up. I'm
Right,
there. They bring me on stage. Then they started asking me to do their set breaks. So now it's not just a song or two. It's, hey, play for 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's cool.
I got to start prepping songs. I got to write more songs. Getting in that swing of things really opened up my eyes to the potential of this.
Sure.
And I was acquiring gear, but at the time I didn't know I was going to need PA systems and microphones. So I'm just buying cool guitars and amp, like stuff that I want to play with. And I use that as motivation to kind of get out there. Them getting me on stage was huge. After that, now I'm looking outside of them. I'm like, I know I have them as a resource. Where else can I go to get involved?
Yep.
Are you familiar with the Lenahan Band?
No.
Okay, so I feel like I want to introduce you to a number of people on the
that'd
scene,
be great.
man. Yeah, and I think a lot of them would actually be great for this
absolutely.
too.
Yep.
So a buddy of mine, his name's Taylor Lenahan, and he's just an unreal musician. But I saw he had a post, so I go out to see him, and he started to bring me up on stage, and it opened a lot of doors. I started to hear about, Good Man Fisk?
Yes.
Huge cover band in the area. And Ryan Fisk runs RF Entertainment with Mike Laley.
Yep.
I started to see all their posts, and I started to make connections. And that's always been my big focus when going out to these places. I'm not just trying to meet other musicians. I'm also looking at, okay, what venues are bringing people in?
Yeah.
How are they connected? Who are the right people to meet? Try to meet all the staff, get used to their names, all those things. So I, like a madman, decided to go, okay, RF Entertainment has all these music acts. I'm going to go to every single one of their shows and introduce myself.
Right, that's cool.
Meet as many as I can. It opened a lot of doors. It really opened my eyes to, what this could be. But the issue was, I wasn't really getting a great opportunity to practice and get my foot in the door. It was great connections, and a handful of them were starting to bring me on stage and good resources for help. But I'm like, okay, I always hear about open mics. Like, I got to see what this is about.
Yep.
I didn't go to my first open mic till last January. This January. But the first 3 open mics I went to was a crazy experience for me.
Which ones were they?
So I went to Core 3 to start, right? And there, each of the first 3 I met, notable people in my music journey.
Yep.
Core 3, I met Chris Kelly, Amy Bryan, and the Jims.
Okay.
So I got to meet all of them.
Yep.
I went to go see Jim Brennan at Death of the Fox, and I walk up to him, and he doesn't know who I am. He knows me from that night, kind of.
Right.
Hey, I saw you at Core 3. Oh, yeah, cool. And so I started to make the connections.
Yep.
I'm hearing about other open mics, which led me to Dr. Brewlittle's. I went there. Tim Pool runs a great show there. It's an awesome spot to go. And there that night, I met Tim Pool, Carter Waller Band, and then Pete Scavello.
Yep.
So I had this funny story when I met Peter.
Sure.
I sit down at the bar, and I have a Taylor 214, got the hard shell case, my first ever official guitar, I'm like, if I'm going to be doing the thing, I need the equipment to make it happen. So I sit it down, and I see this guy walk in. Real tall guy, all black, tattoos, the the super long beard.
Yep.
I've seen this guy on Facebook. I know who he is, but I've never met him. Sits down right next to me, and he puts his guitar down, and he goes, oh, geez, who's got the Taylor? And I'm like, that's me, right next to him.
Right.
And we start talking. He asked me what I'm doing. An original artist? Yes. Are you? Yeah, me too. And he's like, cool, can't wait to hear you play.
Yep.
So he gets up to play, and I don't know if you're familiar with his relation to Brewlittle's. It's where he's done all his EP releases.
Oh, yeah.
He's it's one of the places he really got his start.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So he gets up to play, and everybody in the entire place is singing along. I'm like, who is this guy? They know all the words. The first 2 songs were just great. I was enthralled by his playing right away. The first song I heard was Crazy. That was the first release
Crazy
of his
is
EP.
a great song.
Oh, man, unreal. And he gets the Can't Stay. And that's the big sing-along song.
Yeah, yep.
They dim the lights, and there must have been 40 people with their phones, lights swaying side to side.
Nice.
And they're getting done this, and he goes, all right, next we have Shay Arthur. Let's welcome to the stage. How do I follow that? How do you follow 40 people singing along with lights?
Right. Yep.
I did my best, and he seemed to like it, and he tells me, he goes, I'm going away for a week. I'm going to go record. It was when he went to go record the EP. So I met him just before that.
Okay.
And he goes, I'll be back here in 2 weeks. You should come out. I'd love to talk to you about possible things moving on down the road.
Yeah.
So again, I do with all these, possible opportunities, I commit to doubling up, tripling up, showing up again just to get my name out there. And it opened a lot of doors. The people there are great. I've played gigs there. We had the song swap there, which is really cool. Then finally, Death of the Fox. And it was kind of funny because I don't know if you know this. I know you and Chuck go back quite a bit.
Yep.
When I was starting to do this, my family goes, or my parents, I should say, they go, hey, by the way, have you ever considered going to Death of the Fox? I'm like, I know they do music there, but I haven't really gone there like that. Why? We have a family friend, you might know them, and mention the Brockways. I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh, well, their son plays at the Fox, I believe. And, I don't know his name, off the top of my head. I can find it real quick. So I'm looking into it, and I find him quick, and I see it's Chuck.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, like, this guy's voice is insane. So I go to Death of the Fox. I knew Joe Grasso ran it, and he's another member of RF Entertainment.
Yep.
So I'm like,
Yep.
I want to meet him, see what else is going on, get a chance to play, make connections. So I walk in, and he's actually in line to get a drink. And I kind of just walk over to him, tap him on the shoulder. Hey, man, we had this connection, like, what's going on? And got along with him great right away. And I also met Michael Songs that day, too.
Oh, okay, cool.
So all three of the first, iterations of the open mics led me to meet all these people and would set me up for a lot of success moving forward.
Yeah,
so,
that's awesome.
Yeah, quickly opened up.
What else do you have going on? I know you mentioned the Valentine's Day gig. For those that might not know, tell people about that.
Yeah, so we started this thing. It was really Michael that brought everybody together to really see it through. I think a lot of us had the idea of doing more original music, like showcases. I did one with the Scavellos at Sweetsboro Brewing. I know there was a few things done at Death of the Fox, some I've been a part of, some I haven't. And he came up with this idea, what if we learn each other's songs and we all play and perform them together? I thought it was a great idea. That actually connected me to a few people. So I'm singing with, are you familiar with Carly Hubble?
I think I may have seen her at an open mic once before. Yeah, I think. So I know the name. I'm not sure I ever talked to her though.
Yeah, she's a unreal singer. Mm-hmm. I first got connected to her because she sang with Jeff.
That's who I'm thinking of. Yep.
So she invited me to do the Pittman Porch Fest, and she wanted a guitar to accompany her vocals, and playing alongside the two of them, like we all hit it off well, and quickly decided to like throw her into the mix for the big song swap. Mm-hmm. So we got into it, man, and it was better than I ever could have imagined. It's such a fun experience, and I don't really have a lot of experience playing alongside other musicians, so this was also good practice as well. But we're looking to do a lot more with it. Valentine's Day is the next immediate future show for that.
Okay.
Where's that at? It's going to be the Virga VFW.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yep. We're getting Brian Westervelt involved. I know there's a couple other artists that are going to be getting involved as well.
Yep.
But I think it's a really good opportunity. I really do.
Yeah, that's cool. So what else you got going on? What else do you want the people to know about you?
I recently had a show at Double Nickel, and we got the go-ahead to start something that I'm very excited to. This is actually the first real true announcement of it is here.
Drum roll,
so, Dave Kudrak exclusive. We are going to be starting an original music showcase at Double Nickel. It's going to be starting in January.
Awesome.
And it's going to be going on once a month, and it's going to be a great hub for original artists to not only showcase their originals, but also get paid for it.
Oh, wow.
So we're going to have this system where it's going to be more than just a standard like open mic. We want to make this a true show. Mm-hmm. We have a couple different ideas that we think will accomplish that. And we already have so many talented artists. I can't believe how. That's why I love your podcast. So many great artists in this area, and they need the space to showcase that. Mm-hmm. So we will be starting that real soon.
Very cool.
Michael Songs will actually be helping me set that up.
Awesome. So everybody check. Make sure you follow Shay and Michael Songs and Chuck and whoever else and Double Nickel, I imagine, on all the socials, so you can get up to date on when that's going to start and when it will be going forward.
Absolutely. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. All right. So you are going to play 2 songs for us?
Yep.
Okay. What songs are you going to play?
So this is where I've been debating on which one to play. I'm going to be playing Morning Celine. It tends to be, everybody's favorite song.
Yeah, I happen to love that song myself.
Oh, nice. Awesome. I'm glad you do. It's funny. Whenever I write songs, I never quite know. I like them.
Yep.
Will the audience? I don't know. There's a few that I had in mind. And I obviously talked about Ruby Red a little bit in this. That's, like any of my friends from 6-7 years ago, that's the song they associate with me.
Okay.
So I could play that. But I think the song I'm going to end up playing is it's called Goodnight Helios.
Okay.
So I had Morning Celine.
Yep.
Give you a little backstory if you didn't know the origin of that song. I'm going down the Delaware River with my girlfriend. They have a really nice boat, and I've never been on a boat like out on a river like that before. That was brand new to me.
Yep.
So I jumped at the opportunity,
Sure.
We're going down past Philadelphia, and on the Philadelphia side of the river, there's a huge boat. I don't even know how to describe the kind of boat that it was. It says Morning Celine, spelled like Celine Dion.
Okay.
So Kim says out loud, how cool would it be if it was like Celine the Moon Goddess? Because Morning Moon Goddess,
Right.
And I said out loud, that'd be a great song title. Mm-hmm. So they all turn and look at me. I'm like, I guess I got to write a song with this.
Get to work.
Yeah. She made sure to remind me, too, when you're writing Morning Celine, when you're going to write it.
Yep.
So I kept, putting it off, but eventually came up with a song, and that's what led to me writing it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
We made a joke of it. If you write about Celine, you got to write about Helios. Because you got the moon goddess, sun god.
Yep.
And it was a joke initially. I took it serious.
Sure.
I, of course, wrote a song to Helios, and I had to actually research about the Odyssey, Zeus, and the whole thing to kind of make it make sense.
That's awesome.
So those would be the two that I'll pick
Cool.
for you
I'm
today.
looking forward to hearing it.
All right, so here's my first song that I'll be playing for you guys today. This one is called Morning Celine.
I rolled out of bed and I turned to my side and I said, "Good morning, Celine." I caught a glimpse of her eyes. They were so bright, it felt like a dream. I want you, that I need you, that I love you, Celine. Now it's my turn to ask why. Why you had to wait until the time was right. I was caught under your spell. No antidote that I could find. Today is the day that I say that I want you, that I need you, that I love you. I didn't know what it meant to be alive. That was until I came across your bed, and you came across mine. I rode across the sky, 'cause you had me up on cloud nine. I never felt this way inside. Finally I can say Celine is mine. Today is the day that I'll say that I want you, that I need you, that I love you, Celine.
Very nice.
Thank you. All right, so this is the second song. Even though I consider it a sister song, it's about the brother, Helios. This is called Goodnight, Helios.
Good night, Helios, it's time to sleep. He rests his head upon satin sheets, all the while he couldn't breathe. How could the sun run away? He didn't say bye to me. The sun slips away, everything full of shade. What can I say? All I want is a sunny day. Maybe I cut a deal with Celine. Do you think she will? Zeus and I made a choice. Without the sun, what's the eye to see? Toss and turn, the focus burns. I think it's my turn. The heat a mess, the feel of bliss. Feel like we coexist. Can only be you and me. Sun and moon and the in-betweens. Eos assures me that she has a plan to help us breathe. The sun slips away, everything full of shade. What can I say? All I want is a sunny day. Maybe I cut a deal with Celine. Do you think she will? Zeus and I made a choice. Without the sun, what's the eye to see? And it was done when it hit me. The second I saw it, the sun crossed the horizons. Man, it looked unlike anything. We're making this up just like we did when the sun came crashing in. Man, it looks so good, it looks so good. I think I love when the sun is setting. The sun sips away, everything full of shade. What can I say? All I want is a sunny day. Maybe I cut a deal with Celine. Do you think she will? Zeus and I made a choice. Without the sun, what's the eye to see? Good night, Helios.
Awesome, bro. Sounds great.